Social Security. We get this question all the time, and that is, when is the right age to take it? Do I take it at age 62, which is early? Do I wait till full retirement age? Or do I take it even later at age 70? And you may have read some articles, you may have looked up some stuff and think you know exactly when to take your Social Security. But today, we're going to shed some light on how it works and why you may want to reconsider the age that you're thinking about taking it.
Yeah, I will tell you this, in this particular episode, we go through a lot of numbers and we realize that you're just listening to this and it may be difficult to follow the numbers, but we actually have had an article written and it is on our website. And in that article that correlates to this episode about Social Security, when's the best time to take it, is right on our website at pomwealth.net. And if you go to the blog page, so /blog, or there's actually a place you can click there once you get to the website to take you to the blog page, and you'll see the article. You'll see all the different blogs. But if you read this article, you'll have all the numbers there for you. So that way you'll be able to keep up with us or whatever. But make sure you use both of those because this is a very number-driven podcast. So we hope you enjoy. We hope you get some insight out of this. If you've not had a chance and you feel that it is a 5-star type of show, please give us a 5-star rating and write us a review. We certainly would appreciate it. But before we get started, we have to do what we do each show, which is do a quick disclosure. So Merce, could you handle that for us?
I can. The information contained in this podcast is intended to provide general information only and not to be considered individualized advice. Different types of investments carry different levels of risk. As always, please contact your financial professional for advice appropriate to your specific situation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, to our Retirement in Action. And today, we are going to take on a question that we get from every single person out there getting ready for retirement. And that question is, when is the best age? What is the best age to take Social Security? And Merce and I get that all the time. And we have software that help us like apply a person through. I will tell you right up front, it varies based on a lot of different scenarios or a lot of different situations. In our conversation today, though, we are going to take you through a specific or a hypothetical, but a specific hypothetical scenario. And just realize the numbers are going to surprise you potentially. And then it'll prompt you to say, hey, I want to look at my situation. That's the purpose of this conversation. The first thing we want to do, though, is we're going to just start off the conversation with kind of reminding everybody of the different ages and what those mean. And we'll go from there. So Merce, can you get us started on that conversation?
Yeah. So Social Security is always a hot topic, and you work for such a long time, you get to the point where you're ready to retire. You've been paying into this thing called Social Security for so long, and now it's time to reap the benefits of it. So we always want to make sure we're understanding, how Social Security works, and then make sure we're choosing the right time to turn it on. If you read articles, a lot of times the articles are going to say, well, the best time to take Social Security is the last time, which means the latest, which is 70 years old. So you've got a range of when you are eligible. Obviously, you have to have the credits to be eligible, but the ages, the earliest you can take it is age 62. Sometimes people think it's 60. Sometimes people think it's a little bit later, but the earliest you can take it is 62. And then it ranges up until 70. So every year that you wait from 62 onwards, it's going to grow. It's guaranteed to grow a little bit every single year. So every year you wait, that Social Security gets a little bit higher. Full retirement age is defined by the IRS and Social Security, and they've set a number. And, a couple years ago, it was maybe age 65. Now you're kind of, depending on the year that you were born, you're in that 66 to 67 window, depending on the year you were born. So maybe 66 in a few months, or maybe 67 right now, which they are defining as full retirement age. And then you can wait at the latest until 70. So sometimes you're reading these articles and it says, well, yeah, why? It's a no-brainer. Why not wait till 70? You're going to get the most bang for your buck from Social Security. And so, and that may make sense for some people, but, we always like to evaluate it because the way that we look at it is not really how is it possible to get the most money from Social Security, because that is pretty simple math. You wait till 70, and then the thing there is you have to live long enough to really reap the benefits. So we look at it from a perspective of well, how does it work best for the client, and how is the client going to end up in the best situation at the end of the day, whether it's drawing off of their own assets to get to 70, or is it turning on a little bit earlier on Social Security so that they're preserving their own assets, which is usually the best way to go. So we do that whole evaluation, but that's a quick little high level on when you can be eligible to take Social Security, and the ages there between 62 and 70. But there is one really key thing that you got to understand as well. And that is, if you decide to take Social Security early, and early means anytime before full retirement age. So full retirement, once again, is in that 66 to 67 window. There's basically some penalties there that you have to be aware about. And so, Radon, can you take us through what happens if you take Social Security early, before full retirement age?
Yeah. So this is not about which one is the best age in the sense of the overall calculation. Although you'll see very quickly the penalty would make you say taking it 62 is not probably the best scenario if you're making too much money. So I'm just going to give you the 2021 numbers. And the 2021 number is the maximum that a person can make at age 62 is $18,960 a year. And if you make less than that or less, you can get your full 62-year-old benefit from Social Security with no penalties. The question arises, if you make more, what does it do? So this is like one of the conversations we have is somebody comes to us and they say, I want to retire, but I'm going to consult. Well, how much are you going to make? Oh, I might make $35,000, $40,000 a year. The math comes out real fast to say, don't take Social Security then at 62. But let me just walk you through an example. Let's say that, remember our limit is $18,960. Let's say that your 62-year-old Social Security benefit is $10,000 a year. Now, I know that's a low amount, but I'm trying to make the numbers round so you can visualize them. It's $10,000 a year that you would get at age 62. So you say, all right, I want to take it at 62, but my limit on what I can make for income is $18,960. Well, what if that year, instead of making the $18,960, you went over by $10,000, which means you made $28,960. Well, that means you went over the limit by $10,000. What that means is that you will have a 50% penalty, or you'll lose $1 for every $2 you earned above that limit. So that means now, instead of getting $10,000 that year, you're only going to get $5,000 from Social Security because you made too much money that year. So it's a dollar for every dollar you make, or every $2 you lose $1. So it's 50% you lose of your benefit. So you can do the math on that. If you continue to make 40, that you could wipe out your whole Social Security for the year. So just know this: if you're going to make more than the limit, it is highly unlikely that it's going to make sense for you to take your Social Security. So the first question that Merce and I always ask a person if they're thinking about retiring and they're going to they're thinking about taking Social Security at 62, are you going to work? How much are you going to make? Sometimes people tell us, we have a client and he said, you know what I want to do? He said, I've dreamt to doing this, is I want to go work at a dive shop. He said, I've always wanted to do that. Working at the dive shop doesn't pay very much. He goes, but I love scuba diving and I love to help people. It's kind of a low paying job. He only made about $1,000 a month. Well, that's below the $18,960. So it makes sense for him if he wants to consider age 62. All right. So we're going to now go into an assumption. And in this hypothetical example we're going to walk through, in this one, we're going to assume that the person is going to retire, but that's their goal, is to retire at 62. they're not going to work. They have no intentions on wanting to work. So in this scenario, and Mercer's, we're going to walk through the example. I'm just going to set us up here. She's 60 years old. We named her, right? Didn't we name her Merce?
Yeah, this is going to be Mary. We're going to call her Mary today.
All right, good. So Mary's 60. She says, guys, I want to retire at 62. And my initial plan with no math is to take Social Security at full retirement age. By the way, if you ever look up anything on Social Security, it says FRA. They always give that short acronym. That's full retirement age. She goes, that's my goal. But I'm questioning, should I take Social Security either earlier or later? What's the best scenario for that? So we're going to walk you through those numbers. Now, again, I want it to be known this is hypothetical. Mary does not exist, so don't take this as your personal advice. We want to walk you through a what if. We're going to set you up for this scenario. So Merce, can you kind of walk us through Mary's situation and what it looks like currently?
Yeah. So Mary, once again, she is 60 right now. She wants to retire at 62. And all we're trying to do is figure out the best time for her to take Social Security. In her head, it's 67, which is her full retirement age. So for her full retirement age is the Social Security benefit is going to pay her $3,500 a month. For this scenario, we're not going to assume any cost of living adjustment. That's COLA is the abbreviation. Social Security typically is going to give you a raise every year. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. For just to be a very clean, comparable illustration here, we're going to say there is no cost of living adjustment. So that means that the $3,500 that she gets when she starts Social Security is always going to be that amount. It's fixed and it's flat. So $3,500 a month at age 67. Her assets, she's got an IRA with a $1.2 million. So $1.2 million in retirement savings. And we're going to grow that. It's invested. She's going to make a rate of return of about 6%. That's not a big part of the story here. It's just we got to assume some type of rate of return. So we're going to assume 6% rate of return. She's 60 right now. She's working for a couple years. So just so you know how that math works out, by the time that she hits age 62, that $1.2 million has now grown because of growth and because she's contributing a little bit to her retirement funds for the next couple of years before she retires. It grows from about 1.2 to about 1.4 million at age 62. As now a huge thing that we have to know is, well, how is she spending money in retirement? And for this, we are going to add inflation onto it. So right now, her expenses are $5,000 a month. She can live comfortably on $5,000 a month. We're going to throw on a 3% inflation there just to make sure that we do keep up with her lifestyle. So very quickly, let me paint the picture for you. We fast forward. She's 62 now. She's got 1.4 million, and we are not taking any Social Security until age 67. So what's happening there? Well, we're drawing on her assets from age 62 to 66 to live that $5,000 a month lifestyle. So there's a drawdown there on the assets. And then you get to age 67, that $3,500 kicks in. So it starts to cover about half of her monthly need, which is good. And so we get down the line here, and we like to look at age 90. How are Mary's assets doing at age 90? And at age 90, by the way, at this point, her expenses have grown to about $12,000 a month at age 90 versus $5,000 today. And at age 90, she's got about $1.6 million left over. So that all looks pretty good. But now the question is, did we make the right decision here of delaying till full retirement age? So she retired at 62, no income coming in the door for 5 years, which means we're drawing on the assets. So let's just take
before we go. I just want to. You went through a lot there, so I kind of want
a lot of numbers there.
I want to go recap. All right, so Merce has just laid out this example. So remember some numbers as you're thinking this through, because you could be driving right now and listening to us. You could be just walking around, cleaning the house, whatever. We've heard all these stories about how you listen to podcasts. All right, so she's got $1.6 million at age 90. And when we're doing these examples, if you were in our office, we would circle and like make sure you got it in your head. What do you have at age 90? Because there's a difference here between how much am I going to get from Social Security and then how much do you personally have of your own assets at the end of the day. All right. So in this scenario, she's waiting to full retirement age because she thinks that's the best. She has $1.6 million of her own money left at age 90. So now all we're going to change is Merce is going to go back into the software and he's going to change that one thing of her taking Social Security at 62. All other parts of it are completely clean. And all we're going to do is go down and look at age 90 and say, how much money do you have?
Right. So remember, at age 67, her full retirement age, the benefit was $3,500 a month. By simple math, and we back her age to 62. So she's going to retire at 62 and immediately start drawing Social Security at 62. That $3,500 is going to be reduced down to $2,450 a month. So $2,450 a month is what's going to come in when she retires. And now all I'm doing is taking a look and seeing how does things look at Mary's age 90 from her own nest egg perspective. And at age 90, she now has about 1.75 million left over. So very quickly, we changed one tiny thing just to see a comparison here. And remember, it was $1.6 million when she took it at full retirement age, which is what she thought was the best thing to do. Now we backed it to taking it early at age 62. Yes, her benefits did go down a little bit from a monthly perspective, but actually her, at the end of the day, her age 90 is higher than what it was versus taking it at age 67. So immediately we kind of say, well, Mary, I think if you're not going to have any income and you're just going to fully retire at age 62, it kind of looks like it makes sense to take your Social Security early. Would you agree there, Raiden?
Yeah. So again, we're not trying to tell somebody, hey, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. What we're saying is the person looks at it and says, wait a minute, I've got only $1.6 million if I take it at full retirement age. I got $1.75 million if I go and take it at 62. Why would I not go ahead and start at 62? Because these numbers just basically say, look, even if they were the same, why would you not hedge and say, let me use Social Security first in this example, in this one example, okay? But what we want to do, just so you can see it, because what most people read and think when they read an article is it is hands down, you absolutely 100%, if at all possible, should wait to age 70. And I think this is what's going to be surprising to you. So Merce is going to change it to 70 now, and let's see what that looks like.
Yeah. So age 70, simple math again, her benefit is now going to be $4,340 a month versus the $3,500 at full retirement age 67. So immediately you're like, well, and this is what the articles are going to say as well. You know, it makes sense. You're going to get so much more money per month if you wait till 70. It's roughly it's just shy of $1,000 extra per month if she waits till age 70. But let's just take a look at how her assets have done, because now she retires at 62. Now she's got 8 years that she has to rely on her assets until Social Security kicks on. So a very heavy draw at the beginning of retirement for her. So let's take a look at age 90. At age 90, she's got about $1.550 million left over in her nest egg versus the $1.7 million that we talked about when she took it early. So I think there's a story here just in the numbers of looking at it from the perspective of how does it work on my end? How does it work for me? Not how can I get the most for Social Security, but what happens to my assets and how are they drawn on based on all these different decisions?
And remember, what we just walked you through was a very, just a one view of what could happen. A woman age 60 retiring at 62 does not need income. Now, what if she was going to continue to work? Completely changes things. What if she did not need Social Security at all? She had other income and she didn't need her Social Security. Changes the whole picture. What if there's two people involved? You have a spouse involved. How does that change it? All of that can change all of these deals. The key is that we run the numbers. don't just think, because anytime, by the way, you hear a podcast, you read an article, you see a news item, it's usually talking about either a mass answer like the if this, and don't translate those if this into your situation. You need to have your numbers ran, and that's important. Now, if you said, my goodness, this is pretty interesting, I'd love to see my numbers ran, then we will do that. And we'll do it at no cost, by the way, no obligation. We're not trying to, we have no problem running your numbers for you and let you look at that. You can simply do this. If you go to our website, which is pomwealth.net, you'll see a few different places, but at the top part of the website, you'll see where it says schedule a complimentary 15-minute consultation. You can click on that. Our calendar will pop up. You can schedule it right there. You don't even have to call the office. And in that little conversation, we can talk to you a little bit about this, and we could run a scenario for you, find out. It might be that we don't even need to run anything yet. We could just talk to you about what that might be. But if you reach out to us, it's complimentary. We don't charge anything to have that conversation, and you might find that beneficial. So please do that if that's something that you'd like to do. But we hope that this at least maybe opened your eyes that it's not as simple as wait to the latest age, and that's always going to be the answer. There are specifics that need to be looked at, and I hope that's the message that you get out of this particular episode. But as we always say, thank you so much for spending a little time with us here on our Retirement in Action podcast. We look forward to talking to you next week.